Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. Thank you all for joining me. If you're joining us live, we appreciate you being here. And if you're catching the replay, that's great too. Today my guest is Alexis, the little house on Finch. And I apologize for my voice. It's very tired today. I'm Danielle. I am the host here of Create Good Conversations. And there is Alexis. Hi,
Hello.
lady.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good.
I feel like I'm too close.
I sound sexy at best.
It's a good, sexy interview voice.
I don't, my kids, they're little. They bring home everything. They've been passing crap back and forth. So here we are.
I keep hearing that.
I have a cold coffee with you and I have a hot tea both. So
cheers.
hopefully my bladder keeps up.
Mine is like dessert that masquerades as coffee.
Okay.
Probably.
What is it? Vanilla? Caramel?
Salted caramel. And it has whipped cream that I've already hastily licked off my fingers.
Yeah. Oh, how did you entertain yourself this morning? What did you do to keep yourself busy? Were you okay or anxious?
I got up at 5:30 this morning because I was supposed to go to a flea market because the forecast all week said cloudy. And then I got up, I got ready, I looked outside and it was raining, and they don't show up if there's a hint of rain. Okay. So I just ended up going to a few thrift stores and I did some photos for some markets coming up.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Tell us where you are.
I'm in South Jersey. It's a little town called Maple Shade. It's about 15 minutes outside Philly.
Okay.
But on the Jersey side. Where are you located?
I'm in El Paso, Texas currently. I'm about to be in Kansas.
Okay.
We're military, so we have a military move coming up.
Oh, that's what the move is. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless.
Yeah. So it's we're in the reels of it, like truly basically packing as we speak. So
you must.
I was painting this morning because I went to sell our house.
That's probably some stress too.
Yeah, it might be. At least long work days. I just feel like we're really busy. So you want to introduce yourself a little bit more formally for us, for anybody that might catch the replay and doesn't already know you?
Yes, definitely. My name is Alexis. The Little House Finch is my account name, which is not very vintagey, but there is a story behind it. And my friends call me Lex. Most people call me Lex. And I'm just really excited to be here and talk to you guys.
Lex. I like it. That's
Lex
cute.
Luthor. My mom said it was easier to yell as a child than Alexis, less syllables.
I can relate to that. With four little boys, sometimes I'm like, yes.
Do you ever
I need one name for all of them that isn't just boys or something.
I would just be rattling off the wrong name all the time. Constant.
Except for my oldest, he was so long by himself that I don't really mess his name up in the second group of babies. He pretty much, he knows if he's busted.
Oh my God.
Okay, I have some just blast fun questions for you. There's just 20 of them, no right answers. If you feel like elaborating, go ahead. Otherwise, we'll just zip through them. Okay. They're just kind of fun. Introvert or extrovert?
Introverted extrovert. I'm both.
Okay. Okay. Sometimes you get fuel from others and then other times they're draining.
Yes. And sometimes I will stress out over going into a social situation or like doing this interview, but then once I'm in it, I'm okay. Does that make sense?
More emotional or more rational?
Emotional.
And big collections or onesie twosies?
Medium collections, but lots and lots of them.
Okay. Cool. I like that answer. Cake or ice cream?
It's a tough choice, but I would lean toward ice cream.
Calm and collected or anxious and stressed?
Anxious and stressed.
Okay.
No doubt.
Okay. Formal education or fake it till you make it?
Formal education.
A competitor or a spectator?
Definitely a competitor. I do not like to lose at all.
Follow your heart or be smart?
I want to follow my heart, but I usually go with be smart.
So you're rational too.
I am. I'm a mess. I'm like a mix. I'm a mishmash.
We all are. There's something necessary about the dualities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's lots of things you want to be, and then you're the things that you are, and you try to go for the things that you want to be, and
You can talk yourself into a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Travel abroad or travel to the US?
I'd love to travel more abroad.
Okay. Advertising or transferware?
Advertising.
Plan it or wing it?
Definitely plan it.
Change or comfort?
I tend to lean toward comfort.
Okay. Beer or wine?
Neither. Teetotaler.
Neither. Good for you. To read or to write?
Always dreamed of writing, but I love to read.
You're kind of a wordsmith, aren't you? Aren't you pretty good at words?
I've been told that.
Yeah.
But when it comes, and I've kind of started writing things here and there, and then I think I always get to the point where I think, who is going to read this? Who would want to read this? And then I kind of start second guessing myself.
Therapeutically, do you write?
I do. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of more for yourself then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Farmer's market or a flea market?
Flea market, for sure.
A good laugh or a good cry?
Definitely laugh.
Etsy or IG?
I lean toward Etsy for me because I work full time. It's a little easier.
Yeah. Keep it forever or love it, then let it go?
Really depends on what it is, but since I started doing this, most things are love it for a while and then let it go.
Hear words or get hugs?
Definitely get hugs because my husband's love language is not like huggy, it's more service. So
okay.
I'm always like, oh babe, I really need a hug to bring that cortisol down. Come on.
Yeah, and you can say that. Yeah, good for you.
Absolutely.
Not everybody can say that.
He's fine. He just hugs me and is like, okay.
Hot or cold?
Would I prefer to be hot or cold? Hot.
Hot.
I'm weird that way.
Okay, that was 20. How do you feel now? Do you feel a little less anxious?
I do. Yeah. You're very good at this. You're like the Oprah of the vintage world. You bring us in. We tell you our secrets and maybe cry.
I don't know how to really feel about that because I am not in my comfort zone. This is not anything I ever thought I would be doing. It weighed heavy on my spirit when I, was mulling this around and really thought there was a need for it. I'm not sure why it's me that's doing it, but I do appreciate that there was a space, and I thank you.
Yeah.
Those are that's I don't know about Oprah.
I could see you venturing into the podcast realm.
I have actually gone back and forth. Maybe at the end we'll talk about how you feel about it. But because we sell live on IG, I thought live was best, and also I really don't want to have the option to edit any of it.
Right.
Although it is less glitchy and all those things. True. And it is definitely less, you can put it on more streaming platform. Like it's more accessible. True. If it's recorded and not just on this platform. But I don't know. I plan to talk to Whitney in a couple weeks. She has a YouTube. So that might be kind of fun. She's planning when she does hers to take the replay and post it on YouTube. I don't even know how to do that.
She's great with that stuff. She would be able to teach you all kinds of things. Yeah.
She's coming up pretty much to teach us. I think we'll talk a little bit about real life and mom life and running a business out of your home and all that. But really, she's coming to teach us things.
Great.
Teach me things.
She's way ahead. I mean, she does all kinds of things where I'm like, maybe I'll try that sometime.
Yeah. You're really like techie though, huh? Like you do really good reels and you
Maybe for,
you're not afraid of editing something together.
I mean, I'll give anything a try, but you don't see me actually working on it and all the swearing that's going on behind the scenes while I'm making it. So, I mean, I can eventually figure it out, but I'm not like the 16-year-old whiz kid, you know, that I once was when the modem came out. So.
So true, right?
Yeah.
Do you like that? Do you kind of appreciate a challenge in that way?
I do, yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm always trying to learn new stuff. I don't like the idea that just because I'm getting older, I can't stay hip and cool. I don't think I ever was hip or cool, so that makes it a little bit easier. I've always just been
Sure.
kind of a weirdo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that I still haven't figured out, but eventually I'm sure I will. I think it's good
And you
to try.
like the photography side of Etsy?
I do, yeah. I mean, I love that about Instagram too. When I started
Yeah.
my account, I didn't know what was going on in the Instagram world. I wasn't on it at all. I started it purely to
How
promote
old
my shop.
you said 4 years old?
This is my
Yeah.
fourth year.
Okay.
This February started my fourth year. So when I jumped on and saw all this amazing stuff going on, I learned so much. I mean, if you want to go back and look at my old posts from when I first started, they were trash. Like terrible, really dark, horrible. I mean, I had no vignette skills and I just saw all these amazing talented people and I learned and just it was amazing. So and now
She's
I've
like
made
super good
friends.
at that, like driving you kind of, the
That competitive.
competitiveness. Yeah, like that you're always trying to get I don't know if it's even better is the right word, but
I just
whatever.
think
You're trying to get there.
sometimes you don't realize how bad you are until you see how good other people are. So
It's true. It's true. I think that's a good thing
there's
though.
no shame.
I even candles, I used to like buy other people's candles and burn them and them, see how they did and
Yeah, you learn
market
that way.
research and development and all that stuff because yeah, there was always someone better. Now I got to a point where I really feel like you would be hard pressed to stump me. I'm 5 years
Yeah.
in, right? But that doesn't mean there's not plenty of room to continue to grow in other ways. So I'm
Yeah.
glad for that. For in my personal business, like to have two kind of wings of it now. Because I
Hmm.
think if it was just candles, I'd be bored and have moved on.
Yeah, well, it's always good to diversify in all things.
You don't like change as much though. You've been doing the same job for how long?
I want to say it's not that I don't like change. I think I fear change.
Okay.
And a lot of that is just kind of like things that have happened in my life and so I kind of need safety. But
Sure.
I've been in the mortgage industry since my first job out of college. And if I could take a time machine back and not take that job, I would do it in a heartbeat. But now it's been so long to leave this industry and start over. I mean, you're going to be at the bottom. You're not going to have
Sure.
the money that you're making now after working your way up. So
Do your day-to-day operations, do they translate into other fields very well, or is it kind of like it seems like it's super niche?
I mean, it could. It's a lot about customer service, dealing with
Okay.
people professionally, keeping a schedule, you know, multitasking, being
Sure.
organized. Like
Sure.
I don't think I would struggle in another industry. I just
Hmm.
don't know if I would get the opportunity without the background experience that I think I would deserve. But maybe somebody that's looking at my resume on
Sure.
paper would think, oh, she could just step in and do it. I'm a very fast learner, and but
Yeah.
it's just tough. I don't really know where I want to go.
Is it something that's probably changing a lot anyway with
Oh, it changes all the
different,
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
I imagine it's really ebbs and flows based on what the economy's doing or the
absolutely.
markets or
I
how is it
started,
now? How is it now? Give me
it's
I'm
not
about
good.
to
It's
sell a
not
house. This is
pretty.
not a good time.
It's probably one of the weirdest times. And I went through the subprime crash, which everyone's
Okay.
familiar with, and
Yeah.
that was like
Yes.
catastrophic. I mean, I was actually in the subprime industry right out of college. And at that time, I was still learning. I didn't really understand. I don't think a lot of people understood just how dangerous those mortgages were.
Sure.
So when that crash came, I ended up working for a small broker shop. It was a big step back as far as pay, but I learned a lot. So when the market rebounded, I got a great job through my connections with my old company. And we just go through these kind of roller coasters with the economy, with rates. Rates are high now, which people hear 6-7%. And what they don't realize is that years ago, people were paying like 13, 14, 15 and up. So it's really not that bad. But when you've been looking at like 3 and 4% rates for years, it's terrifying to people. But also, inventory is short right now on the market. People
That's what I was
not
going to say. It's like not a buyer's market and it's not a seller's market. So does that mean there's not it's like this weird thing. It seems. We've bought and sold a lot of houses. I feel like I've been in a lot of markets. This is seems like a very unique year.
Kind of like the perfect storm. I don't think a lot of people have ever experienced it, where there's no inventory, prices are still through the roof, but rates are high. People don't know what to do, but renting's still expensive, and
and going up from what I understand.
Oh yeah. So it's tough out there for people, and I feel bad for kids. Coming in, everyone gives millennials a hard time, but they're going to struggle to be able to afford to get out of their parents' house. So I do not envy them. I have 2 nephews that are in their 20s still living at home, and it's like I don't know what they're going to do.
Right. Yeah. The borderland here is, I think, even stranger because we've had this influx of people, but so there's people that you can imagine how much our borderland cities have changed in the last few years, and then you have this economic, I don't know, it just seems strange, but I just keep saying we only need one. Only need one buyer.
Well, the fact that you have a house coming on the market, you're going to be like a white whale because there's just not that much out there. So people are going to be
prices are high. They say they're staying on the market like upwards of 30 days, which seems long. Again, what we're used to is this crazy seller's market that we had, that things were multiple offers in 2 days sort of thing, not that long ago. Anyway, I don't think we came on here to talk about selling my house.
Sidetrack. Anyway, so everything in the economy is dire. How are you?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, boy. So how is business? You're growing? Are you have a steady growth happening?
Etsy or mortgage? Both?
Oh, Etsy. Your business.
I've kind of felt the pinch of the economy this year. When I first started, it was COVID, and that was probably a really unfair benchmark to set because people were home, they were shopping online. Like, it was just kind of like, it was a very good start. But we've been steady. It's not, terrible, but we're not setting the world on fire. I'm not going to lie about it. So, branching out and doing some Instagram Square sales and live sales has been helpful. It's a little bit harder for me just because the invoicing end of it, I try to make sure that I can ship within 2 days, no matter what I'm doing. So working full time, that can be a challenge, but so far so good. We haven't had any hiccups with that, but I just don't do as many sales as everybody else because of that.
Yeah. Which is, I think most of us are starting to do less sales. I don't know. I shouldn't speak for the whole community, obviously, but it seems like people are trying to be really intentional about when they do their sales, who they do them with, and it's kind of more this quantity or quality over quantity thing.
Yeah. I never want to get,
because packing and shipping, you could be packing and shipping every day if you're not careful.
I do go out to the post office every morning for Etsy sales, so that part of it's not that big a deal for me. Eric helps me all the time, custom boxes and all that good stuff, but I don't like to get too far behind because I like to treat my customers the way I want to be treated as a customer. And when I shop and I find something that I want and I love it, I want it yesterday.
Right.
So I want to make sure that I get that safely out ASAP. So if
that's
I overload
really good advice. I think that's really, really good advice.
Yeah. I mean, I hear stories about certain people, and not specific names, just people will say like, oh my God, some people take so long to ship. And I don't want anyone to feel like that when they're waiting for something from me.
Yeah.
So
We tend to be really fast too, relative to other sellers. Lately,
well, you've got a lot going on, and when
people understand, they get it.
exactly.
Nobody's harassing me about it. I don't particularly love it. It does definitely, as far as like, but the business anxiety that I have, it's gone up because stuff is sitting in my garage longer than I like for it to do. But it's just, it's a season, and I'm pretty open about the season that we're in. So
that's one of the benefits of selling on Instagram, because you are able to let your customers know, like, hey, it's me. I'm going through some crazy stuff.
Yes. Yes.
So on Etsy, it doesn't matter. They don't know you. Do
people get to where you have like repeat customers and such? Like, do you feel like you get to know them at all on Etsy, or not?
I try to be more hands-on. I shop on Etsy a fair bit myself, and a lot of people, you just get your item. There's no communication, no contact. But when we get an order, I always reach out, say thank you, let them know. My whole thing is, we're going to get this out to you in a jiffy. I know it's very corny, but like, I don't want to say tomorrow or the next. I just say in a jiffy, because it's going to be quick. And then whenever there's a shipping refund, like if we ship like a really large package, Etsy only uses the post office rates. They don't have a contract with UPS.
Sure.
So the bigger boxes that are like really big and really heavy, I can usually get a better price with UPS. So I'll reach out, refund them, let them know, here's what you're getting back, here's why. And then we always send out a loyalty coupon code. Well, Etsy does it automatically. So I try to kind of insert some personality in there, but sometimes you hear from people and sometimes you don't.
Do you find that people start following you on IG?
I do think so, because I was never expecting to have a large following. I am still kind of shocked. So I think a lot of that has come from Etsy shoppers just going, okay, let me follow her. Because I have the little thank you cards and I have the follow us on Instagram on there. So that's got to be part of it.
And you do great reels. Like, I'm sure your reach surprises you sometimes.
My reach is terrible. Like, it's really bad. I don't get a ton of views.
Really?
I'm shocked. I'm happy with 5,000. That to me is like, yay. I had one that kind of went mini viral. It was 355,000. That was my best. And that was just one.
Okay, so in our world, that's a lot.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Like that in this vintage like seller's world, I feel like that's a lot.
That was a lot. But that I usually average between probably 5 and 12, and then maybe have like a few that go to 50 randomly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you think they're good, because I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? Did I really just post that? But I'm, it's fun.
Do you second guess yourself?
I do. And sometimes I'll make the mistake of showing them to my husband in advance, and then I see his face as he is watching it, and I'm like, this is a mistake. This is a mistake. Post. But I still post it, because somebody out there might be having the worst day, and that might just make them laugh. Because that's happened to me before. I'll be like, oh, this day sucks. Work's awful. Maybe there's something going on in my personal life, and I'll just mindlessly scroll, and then I'll see something that cracks me up, and I'll send it to a friend, and the next thing you know, I'm out of it. So
I think too, like, we just can't take ourselves that seriously. Like, it's never going to be perfect. You're not putting together some like cinema quality whatever. It's really just supposed to be quick, right?
Yeah.
Like,
some of mine are a little longer to make than others. Those are usually the ones that don't do well. The ones that I
really the ones you put most effort into.
Most effort, yep. Yeah.
Why is it always that way? It seems like that's so true with most things in life.
I think it's the whole attention span thing. They say that the shorter reels do better because, plus, the shorter it is, the more watches you get, or if it loops over and over, that counts, and then the algorithm pushes it out further and further. I just don't care enough about that. I'd rather take the time and put out something like fun, like that I think is
Yeah.
cool and different and unique
Mhm.
and not like recycled over and over again.
Right.
So if people like it, cool. If not, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and really that's what it should be about. And if you look like you're having fun and you kind of send it out into the world with that, with fun and joy and whatever attached to it, I think that's what it brings. I think it's kind of obvious when things look forced or feel
Yeah.
forced,
Or if
right?
it's one of those that everyone's done 50 different times, but like maybe change the words a little bit. And I'm guilty of that. I've done it where I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Let me just copy and paste that real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
But I'm trying to do that less. So we'll see what
At least
happens. Maybe
you're
more
doing
music.
it. I give you credit because you at least you're doing it. The rest of us flip through these things and watch them and appreciate that somebody else is, and then never do it. So at least you're doing it.
It's hard. And I go through creative blocks and then I'll be scrolling and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? That's awesome. That's gold. But I think now that I made that Boys to Men music video, all I want to do is make music videos.
It was hilarious. I had to put a screenshot of it in your reel because if you've seen the reel, your reel, you know what that is when you see it in our preview reel. But I thought that was, I must have watched it at least a dozen of those views that you have on that one are mine.
And fun fact, there was at least one woman who thought that I was serious and actually went on picnics with my picture. She was like, that's embarrassing. So you never know what people are going to do or how they're going to take these things.
Yes.
She's like, I don't usually get that attached to my things. And I was like, well, I don't actually go on picnics with it. So
that is so funny. Oh my.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's always
Yeah.
one that is gonna, right?
Mm-hmm.
Add it to the humorous category, I guess.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what the next music video is going to be. I
got it.
Which is fun too, like just rooting for other people's that is never going to be my creative expression ever. But I love that it's yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to keep thinking of ideas. I'm trying, guys. I'm in a slump right now.
It'll come to you at 3 a.m.
That's what always happens. I wake up or I'm unable to fall asleep and I start putting notes in my phone.
Yeah.
So.
Do you? You write it down?
That's when I come up with my best ideas, when I'm trying to sleep.
Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
I am not that type of thinker, but I hear that a lot of people are like that. Let's rewind way back to the beginning. You're pretty much in the same area that you have been, except for you studied abroad for college. I want to know about this.
I did. So I grew up in Bucks County, PA, a little town called New Hope, which wasn't really known back in the day, but now it's like a popular touristy place. It had like a really hippie vibe. It was an awesome place to grow up. And then I was pretty much in that area until graduation. My mom grew up there too, so it was very comfortable, very familiar. But I ended up we had some family issues. My parents both struggled with alcohol addiction. It was not like the perfect like when I was very little, everything was kind of idyllic. It was great. And then as I got older, they started to have their struggles. And I think that was a big determining factor for me. I just decided.
You mean to move away for school?
What's that?
You mean that was a determining factor to move away for school,
Not
for college?
Not just to move away from school, but maybe that far.
Oh, sure.
Because that was kind of extreme, I know.
Yeah.
But my mom, when my parents split up, my mom actually had an English fiance for a little while. So we had gone over there for a visit and I was like, well, this is pretty cool. This is a foreign land where everyone still speaks my language. And I was like, what do I have to do to go to school over there? So the University of Manchester takes federal student loans from the US. So that was a perfect fit. I mean, I'm sure a lot of schools over there do, but that was the area that I had visited. I loved it. I grew up watching Manchester United, football over there, soccer here. And I just decided to go for it. So I was there from 2001 until 2004. I lived in a dorm, like normal, freshman kind of situation my first year. And then my second and third year rented houses with friends.
Wow.
So it was awesome. I still 20 years later talk about it like it was yesterday. I'm sure my husband's tired of hearing about it. I just wish I had had more knowledge and more money to bring home lots of antiques.
All the things.
Yeah.
all the stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was
Did
a
you
poor
have
college
an
student.
interest in any of it at that time?
Not so much
No.
from a business standpoint. I mean, I always loved antiques. We grew up, my mom was into, the older stuff. We lived in a historic area, so I was really familiar with, the appreciation. But
and
I
a
was
lot of
in
us
college.
start thrifting in high school or college because that's what you can afford. Did you do that?
Oh yeah. Our favorite thrift store was right in New Hope. It was called the Night Owl. We would walk down there after school every single day, just about spend hours in there. It was mostly clothing though. So that was like my introduction to the thrift scene. And then the same store is still in New Hope, but it's called the Nightbird now, and it actually moved to a different street. But a girlfriend I went to high school with, who was one of my thrifting buddies, owns it now. So
wow, that's cool.
So I'm like, oh, that's a pretty cool. That's a dream, and it's such a great town and such a great location. So I'm happy for her. But
still mostly clothing.
Yes, it's all clothing. It was so that was like my first foray into the thrifting world. But I would say I started thrifting for like home stuff in college because you're broke.
I mean, I think most of us did, or at least early adulthood, whether or not we were in college or not. But I think
yard sales, anything we could get cheap for the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you take the time because you don't have the money, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Are you into vintage clothes still or no?
I just can't really find them anymore. Not the stuff that I like. I think that's, resale. There's a guy that lives right around me. He's an eBay guy, and I see him in the thrift store every time I'm in there. He does it full time. So he's in that thrift store all day long, and he's just going through the racks. And I'm like, I think all the stuff that I used to love, like I like the old like t-shirts. I like the vintage style t-shirts.
Sure.
I love finding the old ones. And I just don't see like the stuff we used to find back in, middle school, high school was like the old Adidas jackets with the trefoil, bell bottoms, the really vintage stuff. And I'm just not seeing that anymore. It's just a lot of old, like,
well, that was
I'm seeing
40 years older.
I know.
Or whatever, 30 years older. So our stuff is the vintage stuff now, which I'm really not into recycling that.
Well,
fashion.
I mean, all of it's coming back to Target now. All the stuff I wore in the 90s is like on the Target shelves again.
It's so true. That is true. Yes. I remember as like a high schooler or whatever, my mom saying like to me when we were shopping for clothes, oh man, I had something similar to this when I was a kid or whatever, and thinking like rolling my eyes. And now it's true.
Yes.
Like now it really did all come back around, and now it's it's 70s too, but all these wide-legged pants and all that, like,
I know,
or baggy. It's all the baggy grunge 90s stuff again. It's funny to me.
And I would punch a small child to get like some of my mom's clothing from the 70s now.
Hold on.
Like I would punch a baby.
One second, you're spinning.
Oh no, we're starting to spin.
Switch.
Oh, you're
Let me just switch. It'll come back. Yeah, you were spinning. I think I was spinning. I'll switch to cellular, and it'll probably get better. Sorry.
I think I'm good.
Again with IG, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every single live I do, it doesn't matter what the agenda is on that live. There's something where we're like, oh, thanks, IG.
For a second, I thought I froze, and then I realized I just wasn't moving.
Oh.
Like, wait,
no, for me, you froze first, but it was probably me that froze. So it's coming back now, and we should be okay. It's been really good to us lately.
Yes.
Hopefully. Except for last time, it just kicked me off completely. All of a sudden, I was looking at my home screen on my phone. I thought,
oh hi.
Oh, hi. Can't save it. Like all the, try to save these and put them in so people can catch the replays, and that didn't happen. Unfortunate.
I keep losing drafts, and I hear a lot of people are having that problem.
Are you having? I have yet to have that happen to me, but I hear that it's happening a lot.
It's not so much losing the drafts that I have saved. Last week, if I went to post one, it would just not post and the draft would be gone. So I would have to start over. So now I'm just being really careful. I don't know. It's always something new and exciting you have to watch out for.
Yeah, you do like square sales, like block of time sales.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing. I mean, there's already, you're on such a time crunch, and then to think about having to rebuild everything at that point, I feel for you. It happens to Desiree all the time.
I've heard people go through that, and I know my stress level, I would jump out a window, because that's just like instant panic mode, especially if it's a progressive sale and it's your time. Oh, I can't breathe just thinking about it, and it's never happened to me. So I feel bad.
I would post like 5 things and just walk away. I mean, I would not bail on my people. Like, I'd pull something, but it would be the bare minimum, and I would,
I save everything to notes now. I know most people do that, but once in a while I forget, and I'm like, damn. So my husband's birthday post, I spent forever writing down like all these sweet, witty things, and it happened to me, and I was like, well, I'm never gonna remember all that. So I did the best I could and came up with more. So, oh well.
Sometimes I feel like, I don't know if it's like meant to be or something, but it always works out how it's supposed to. I do believe that. So it's like, why is this how it's supposed to work out? This is not my plan, at all.
Yeah, not with a progressive sale, not losing drafts. That's not meant to be. That's not okay.
No. Do you like lives, or you like progressives?
I think I like lives better. I don't know. They just seem like a little bit, I don't want to say less work, because it's all a lot of work, but it's less forced, I guess. You kind of just like can have fun and like show your things. Whereas, the progressive sales and the square sales, you're spending a lot of time working on the staging, and I like to be very detailed, because on Etsy, I find like no matter how careful you are to show a photo of every flaw, detail every flaw in the listing, there's always someone who doesn't look at the pictures and doesn't read and is like, this has this on it. And I'm like, yeah, I know, it was disclosed. So even though I'm sitting here saying nobody reads anything, I still am very careful with that. And I feel like it's a little bit harder when you're limited to a certain number of photos and posts to do that. Mm-hmm. So with lives, I can be like, look, it's right here. Look at this. So if that makes sense.
I feel the same. I think it's harder for me to really make sure I get every detail when it's written out. Mm-hmm. But it's easier to make sure, because you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, by the time I'm writing up the thing, I'm just looking at the pictures now, because I took, the items on the shelf or whatever. It's interesting. I'm toggling kind of. We've been talking a lot about like what's working better. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but
I think it really depends on any given day. I've had square sales that have absolutely flopped. I've had lives that were just kind of okay. I don't do enough to have a lot of data. Like Candace I call her the Ryan Seacrest of Instagram, because she's always on. Yeah, I'm like, Candace is live again.
With a full-time job and a charity and all the things. Like, and now she's doing the flat lays. Like,
she doesn't sleep. So
she must not. Clearly she doesn't.
She does not sleep. So she has a lot more data and could probably tell you what works better for her, but it's just hit or miss for me. Depends on who's shopping that day, and
it's certain buyers like it different ways. I think it's probably best to dabble in all the different, avenues. But with that said, you don't do Etsy at all? I mean, sorry, eBay at all? You just do Etsy?
I have a few things on eBay. It's generally things that I want to get more eyes on, like maybe something that hasn't like sold for a while, so I'll cross post it, or maybe I don't think it's like the right fit for Etsy. I don't know. Etsy, I kind of have like a certain aesthetic.
Yeah,
And then maybe I'll
it's
find,
pretty trendy, right?
yeah, it's like, I try to keep it pretty. I do have some mantiques on there. Like I really love the old ornate pulleys and things like that. But if it's more like just like it's just doesn't feel like an Etsy piece, I'll throw it on eBay. But I don't do much, and I really should probably explore one of those apps that helps you with the cross posting. I keep talking about it, and I just haven't done it. So my biggest thing is when I cross post, I have to make sure I remember when it sells to take it off of the other
The other one, me too.
Yes. Because I guarantee you it will sit, maybe it doesn't sell for 6 months and it'll finally sell. And if I forget to take it off, I swear to God, someone's going to try to buy that one. So
I can relate to that from my website to my Etsy, because a lot of times I'll cross post there, and then always on my Etsy listings it says my website, to try to drive people back to the website. Obviously, I'd rather sell the item from the site versus from Etsy. But anyway, it's it never fails.
Yeah.
If I sell it one place within a week, it's going to sell in the other place, and it could have been on there for.
And I think someone, not me, because I'm not app savvy, but someone needs to invent one that actually does it for you, because there's like 5 or 6 apps out there that will help you cross post. Not one of them is able to pull a duplicate listing for you. You still have to do it manually. And I don't get that. It makes me
Even
crazy.
if it would just remind me, like,
right. Yes.
Hey, this is posted somewhere else, and now your quantity over here is 0. So it may be 0 on these other ones. Like, even if it would just make me aware.
There's got to be a way. I mean, AI is doing everything now. It's like taking I feel like I'm on South Park. They're taking our jobs. But that they can't figure out how to do that. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that is. I agree. That's interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people have them a lot of things, like on a Poshmark or a Macari or like all these different sales things.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I can't.
I think you're onto something there.
Yes.
Whoever is listening to us.
Someone go make a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
Maybe throw me a few shekels.
Right. Okay, so back to Manchester. You're there for 3 years?
3 years, yep. It was cool. I mean, I flew back and forth, holidays and such, but.
And do you meet your husband there, or you meet him when you go back?
I did not. I met my husband back here. I did have an English boyfriend. He was a long-term boyfriend, great guy. We're still friends.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't really, I was too young to stay just for that. So I came home and I actually met my husband in the weirdest way. There was a girl that I worked with who it's a long story. We are not friends anymore. She ended up being a little bit, but she was dating one of his best friends, and she was very into like the muscle bound Jersey Shore type guys. So
okay.
Not really my thing.
Okay.
Each their own. But she kept asking me to meet his friend. I didn't want to do it. She finally showed me a picture, and I was like, okay, he's adorable. Let's do this. And
not a Jersey Shore guy?
Not a Jersey Shore guy, more of like just like a shy skater boy type. I guess I was Avril Lavigne in a former life, but not even skater.
We all were in the 90s.
That was always my thing. The girls and my friends in college were like, you really like to find like the guy that just looks like he rolled out of a dumpster. That's your thing, like the rock guy. Nice. So Eric did not look like that.
I was going to say, Eric does not look like that.
No, he was very clean. But we went on a blind date, and true story, I was so nervous. We went out for sushi. I drank too much. I did drink back at that time. And I threw up in his bathroom sink, and he still called. So,
awesome.
True love.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know.
So you were more of the dumpster diver in that particular moment.
I was so nervous. I just was not really paying attention to how much alcohol I was consuming that evening.
And then you've been together since?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah. That's a cool story.
2006 was our first date. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So almost 20 years.
Yes.
Are you going to do something of fun?
I don't know. We just celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary in June, and we're just kind of like homebodies. We don't really do anything crazy. Eric's been sober for, it'll be 9 years in June. So we don't like go out and like party.
Okay, yeah.
We
So
used to,
since
like, when we were
since
younger.
you were married.
Yeah, he's been sober for 9 years. We've been married 10. And we just kind of like to do like a dinner in, or we went out for his birthday for dinner, but we'll go out with friends and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. Not like in our younger days when I was throwing up in bathroom sinks.
Do you feel like you have that alcoholism runs through your blood, or do you think that it's just a choice more so than a necessity for you personally?
So for me personally, I think I had a very, very high risk of it because of my parents being alcoholics.
Sure.
It's not something that so when I was going through the struggles with my parents, I was angry, I was pissed. I back then thought that it was a choice. I thought they were just shitty parents. After watching my husband go through it as an adult, I think it was important. It was horrible that I went through it again, but I think it was important because I was older. I was witnessing it in a whole new perspective. This was someone I chose. This wasn't like the family I was born into, like, oh my God, I got stuck with these assholes.
Right.
It was my husband who I loved, and I was watching him turn into something that he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually helped me to forgive my parents, because I realized at that point, this is not a choice. This is a disease. And I think there's a lot of people out there that still do not fully understand that. He was not looking to become this person. He got to the point where he could not live without having a drink in the morning. And that's just not any way that anybody wants to live. And he finally got to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. And I think I told you I was at my breaking point at that point. I had sat down that morning. I had written out a list of rehabs. And when he got home from work, I was going to say, you're going to one of these or you can't live here anymore. Like, that was where I was. I loved him. I still loved him, but I couldn't keep going through it. And I couldn't keep watching him kill himself. So I'm sitting there with that list and I get a phone call, and it was like divine intervention. And it was his best friend calling to let me know that he was taking him to rehab because Eric had called him and said he wanted to go. Wow. So it was almost like something reached down and said, enough. This is it. So he went, and I swear to God, like, I'm so grateful for that day, because they say that the best chance of someone recovering is if they are ready and they go themselves.
Absolutely.
And if you try to force them, it's really not going to be as good of an outcome. So going through all that, it definitely helped. I mean, I hadn't spoken to my father in years. And after Eric got well, I finally was able to call him and say, I forgive you. My mom and I always stayed closer. It was a little bit different, mom and daughters, I think.
Sure.
So, yeah. Oh, wow. You've Oprah'd me. Oh, God.
I don't know if that's what that is, but wow.
Yeah. So if anyone's out there struggling or knowing someone who struggles, I don't want this to become like a PSA, but there is hope, and, you know, just know that it's not something that they're actively doing to you. It's not something they want to be doing. You know, it is a disease, and it's very, very difficult.
How do you feel about the fact that your parents were that way and you were pissed at them, and then you also chose someone that had obviously a lot of the same attributes, I guess we'll call them that, or tendencies or something like that? What does that mean to you?
That he had them too?
That he had them, yeah, that you chose a spouse, a partner in life that had some of these same tendencies that you, I assume, hated about your parents.
I thought about that a lot, but to be honest, he didn't show those signs when we first got together. Like, it's possible because we were both younger, and I was still like a party girl at that point too, and, you know, doing my own thing. you know, it didn't really start to manifest with him until right before we got married. But I felt like a cliche. I felt, and I had friends. Like I lost quite a few friends that were close to me from the time that I was young. You know, like elementary school on, high school best friends, in through college.
Yeah.
And when the chips were down, they were like, whoop. So, but I had a lot of them telling me like, this, you're with him because your parents were alcoholics, and you know, this is codependence, and this is what, you know, trying to basically put me in this little box and telling me to leave him. And I was like, you know what? Here's the thing. There's no way I could have predicted that this would have happened. And he is still that person that I first fell in love with underneath. I'm not just going to walk away from that. And you wouldn't be asking me to walk away from him if he had another disease like cancer. So
also, he's willing to do the work.
Exactly.
I feel like that's a really like,
well, in their defense,
important part of it is willing to do the work and to be a partner in this, and you just maybe needed the support versus someone that, like you say, you're having to give an ultimatum or force into some sort of rehab. And we know that at that point it's not going to stick if they're just doing it for any other reason besides their own willingness.
I think, I mean, I feel like I was extremely lucky, and you couldn't write a movie script to be as perfect as that was. The fact that I was sitting there with that list and got that phone call, like, it sounds like I'm making it up, but it's 100% fact. And it felt like, I'm not a huge religious person. I mean, I believe obviously there's something out there other than ourselves. I don't subscribe to a specific church or religion, but that moment for me was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I call them like God winks, where it's like, you know, it's just this little, like, I gotcha moment that life gives you. And yeah, it feels really real when those things happen, for sure. And you don't forget them. Like that's a turning point in probably your life, but also certainly your marriage. But so any relapses?
No relapses. 9 solid years on June 4th. Yeah.
How does that feel? Do you feel like, do you wait for the other shoe to drop, or do you feel like this is something that you truly have grown through?
I did for a long time, probably the first few years. I was always looking over my shoulder, kind of watching him, because when he was really going through the hardest times, I was crazy. I was tracking him on his phone. I mean, doing things that I never would have done in a million years, because you just don't realize what it's going to do to you. You know, he was just out there doing God knows what, and I'd be like, is he at a liquor store? Like, just absolutely insane. Yeah. But I'm very much at peace. I almost am afraid to say that and jinx it, but he's different.
Trust is earned.
I don't know how it works for some people. I don't know why it's easier for some people than others. I don't know why some people can be sober for 20 years and relapse. It happens, and he's never going to be safe from it. But I don't live in fear anymore at all.
Yeah, well, like I say, trust is earned, and he's earned your trust. Self-discipline, I mean, obviously he's committed to self-discipline.
Right. And finding things that you truly enjoy doing. Like, I think we spend so much time, and I know I'm guilty of this. I work all the time, like almost all the time. We have a boat. That is his happy place. That is where he is completely at peace. And when I go out with him and I see him out there, I'm like, okay, this is where he is. Just nothing else is going on. There's nothing bothering him in his brain. He's not thinking about work. He's not thinking about anything. So that's been a huge thing for him, to just have that outlet.
I think you were kind of getting there, but we convince ourselves that the way we spend our time, we really, I mean, kind of have to, right? 40 hours plus a week is what we're doing for work, even sitting in traffic. Like we kind of make excuses almost for ourselves that we like this, that it's worth it, whatever. And I think a lot of people can do that with their addictions too. And so when you decide this doesn't work for me,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like it's that way with a lot of like habitual things that maybe, not to say that addiction isn't different than bad habits, but it certainly is that way with bad habits. We convince ourselves that this works for us. And then when you really take a step back and look at it, you're like, that doesn't work for me. A Snickers bar for breakfast does not actually work for you.
I know.
But, like, not the same as alcoholism. I'm just saying, like, we do it a lot. We do those things a lot.
We punish ourselves. I mean, we live in this world where everyone thinks that if you're not constantly busy and constantly doing this and that, you're not succeeding and you're not a success. But I mean, I will push myself and then have like a crazy mental breakdown where I'm like, what's going on? And then just move past it. Like, oh, I'm good now. Like that was normal, Are
you familiar with Ryan Holiday, the author?
Mm-mm.
No. He has a lot right now on like success, like our versions of success and what actual success is, and productivity productivity, that sort of thing. It's fascinating how far we've come with what's actually productive and what's actually success, like the definitions of them. But they're good books. He has really good books and a good podcast.
I'll still check him out because I could probably use some assistance there. I would like to.
I feel like I kind of just got chills. Like, why are we talking about that? Because that's us right now. We are spinning our wheels. We don't sit down right now until we can't. We're like, we're tired,
Yeah.
And so it's good for me too. I needed to hear that today, probably on this Sunday, that the list is this long as crap I wanted to accomplish today. And I really should probably, cut that in half.
Just breathe and really take a look at that list and evaluate. Do I really have to do this today?
And I don't know I don't know why I'm saying this, because maybe no one else cares, but maybe it's relevant in someone else's life in a different topic. But I live in this house, so I see all the shit that needs to be done, right? Nobody that walks through here for 30 minutes is going to even kind of see that. Even if they come for, spend 2 hours on their walk through, they're never going to. So why am I killing myself to get all these little things done?
Checking all the boxes. And there's a bunch, we were talking about like why I like to make reels, and even if they're goofy, but like there's a lot of reels out there of people, I don't know if you've seen them, where they're like how they think somebody's going to be when they come into their house, and they have a guest come in and they're like inspecting everything. I need to go up and check your bedroom, right? There's dust on your mantle.
I need those reels.
Yes.
I'm going to go find them, because those need to pop up here and there on my feed, because that is me right now. Like, nobody gives a shit if I clean my van.
They don't.
Like, it needs to be clean, probably. We did construction on this house. Like, it needs to be, cleaned anyway. But yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares before I list, that's for sure.
We just all need to give ourselves a break. And I would like to, it's funny, all of our ancestors came over to this country to pursue their dreams. And like my whole mom's side came from Denmark. And I'm always joking with my husband, like, will they take me back? Because they work 4-day work weeks. They have free health care. Like, can I go back? Reverse immigration? So. Isn't
it interesting? Mm-hmm. That's progressiveness that we're doing. And I'm not even trying to get into politics, but we swing one way, and then eventually the pendulum has to swing back. It's just the way it works. And yes, the American dream was a busy sport.
It's tough out there right now. That's why we're all busting our balls on Instagram. We're all trying to make that extra money so we can live. It's not easy.
It isn't easy right now. But man, I think you're right. I think for a lot of us, it's very financially driven. But a lot of us, it really is a creative outlet, or both, right?
Definitely.
Both. We wouldn't do it if it was just about some financial goal, because this is not where you're going to do it. But yeah, I agree. I fully agree. What are you going to do today?
Today we're going to walk the dogs. That is our daily afternoon ritual, because we have 3. We had 2.
Even in the rain?
I think it's stopped. Okay. We will take them if it's not too bad, only because if we don't, we pay for it later, because they're all riled up and antsy, and They know what time of day it is. They know what time they eat. So they're all gathered around me for mealtime, waiting, staring at me. Yeah. And then they know when I finish work, it's time to go for a walk, and they start going nuts. So it's not negotiable. We have to do it.
Yeah.
Or else we pay. Yeah.
And you just like walk your neighborhood or something, or do you go to a dog park? Or?
Yeah, we don't really have any good dog parks around here. And even if we did, we have a very stranger danger rescue dog that is terrified of the whole world. And she exhibits her fear by like scaring the crap out of you. Okay. So she will just bark and act really scary, but she's actually terrified.
Terrified. So poor thing.
Yeah, we just kind of keep her. It's hard, like having people over to the house. You know, I have to kind of put her away, unless they're used to her, because she can be very intimidating. And she's really
Is she large?
She's medium. She's not even that big. She's like an Australian Shepherd mix, but the bark is, it's aggressive. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I love her.
I feel bad for animals that are like that.
I know. I do too. I wish I could fix her because she's so smart and she's so sweet. And I don't know. They found her in a barn when she was in West Virginia as a puppy in the snow. Like, you know, you hear the horror stories. But I don't know what caused the stranger danger because she's fine with us. She's very protective, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have kids that are like really like have no social anxieties, and then you have them that do, it's the same. It's like, I know this is so hard for you, but you got to do it. It's hard.
Yeah.
I have one that gets really kind of like shy and really doesn't like it. He would much rather stay home, but he also says he wants to go, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't want to miss out.
No, but then he gets there and it's a lot, or, you know, so he, yeah, anyway.
That's hard, especially, like, what do you do as a parent? Do you try to get them more, like force them to do it so they get more comfortable, or, you know, how do you handle that?
I'm sure it's not that much different than dealing with the pet. You know, you want what's best for them.
Yeah.
So you both kind
but
of.
If you mess up a pet, they can't tell other moms that you messed them up. Like, if you mess up your kid, you're in trouble.
I really, when it comes to parenting, I kind of take that part. I mean, I take it very seriously, but I also like am pretty lighthearted about it. I just say, like, add it to the list of things they're going to need counseling for. Because how am I supposed to know? Not to mention there's 6 of us in this family. Like, what is best for you is not necessarily the way this is going to go. Like, welcome to life. Add to the list of stuff that you're going to tell your therapist about one day. And that's just the path you're on. Like,
they'll be fine. I turned out all right. Kind of.
Did you do therapy?
I did not. I probably should have. And sometimes when my husband, well, probably. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I really don't. I guess I've done some of my own therapy through my writing that I do for myself, but like occasionally when Eric and I are having a spat, he'll gently let me know I need therapy.
Yeah.
He's joking, but
did he actively do therapy outside of his rehab program?
He did do some counseling outside of rehab. It was not a good experience. The guy ended up being very unprofessional. It's a long story, but we found out some things about him through other people that were seeing him. So that kind of soured him a little bit to it. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's what's held me back is I'm very skeptical. I'm like, when it comes to healthcare too, and this is totally off topic again, but going to doctor's appointments and dealing with things, I don't feel like the standard of care is what it used to be. It's more of a business than it is about patient care. So I don't know if I'm going to find a therapist that I'm comfortable with and that I trust. And so I guess maybe, I don't know if I'm using that as an excuse to not go, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So,
I mean, it certainly is a legitimate fear, like, or concern if that word feels softer, right?
Yeah.
But It is, I think that's really legitimate. I was in healthcare for a long time. I do definitely think there's people that are in it for the right reasons still, but yeah. When friends come to me and say, I think I'm going to seek one out, I always say, find a newbie. Like, find somebody that's
Yes.
really, really not super, super green, but green enough that they are invested in it still.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even the doctor that's at fault. It's the administration and what they have to deal with and how they have to, I don't know. Maybe I'll
I
think
think,
of
though,
it.
that how do you feel when you read your writings back?
I do
Are you
definitely
able
feel
to be
better.
honest with yourself
Oh,
when you
yeah.
write?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm definitely honest with
That's really
myself.
the thing, right? Getting to a place that you honestly know how you feel about something. Not everybody needs somebody else to drag that out of them. If you're capable of doing that on your own.
I think the
I
hardest,
think a lot of people lie to themselves, though, when they write.
oh, I don't lie about myself. I think the hardest part for me was writing about my mom before she passed away, because I was like, if she ever read this, oh, because there's some tough stuff in there. We were close, and there's wonderful things about my mom that I would never change, but there were some very hard truths written too. I'm like, I don't need her to read this,
Yeah.
and she loved reading what I wrote. She was an editor. That was her thing. So
Okay.
she loved proofreading my stuff and telling me what I needed to change, but she also loved just reading what I wrote. So I could never let her read anything I wrote about her.
No. Well, that's not the goal. The goal is of those writings was, I get to identify them for yourself, to figure out how you feel about it, to be honest with yourself.
Definitely.
It's not for someone else to read, It's not a letter to her.
No.
Although writing letters to people sometimes is really therapeutic as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Even if you never intend to send them,
I write a lot of emails at work that I never send.
Yes, I'm sure. Yeah.
Per my last email, you are a complete jackass. Delete, 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 delete,
delete. Text too. I write some of those texts sometimes where it's like, reread it and then like cool down. Let me just leave this here and see if I still feel this way in 30 minutes.
God.
That's why I tell my kids too, when they're like mad about something, go move your body for 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel the same way about it when you come back, then maybe there's something to it. If not, you probably just had to work through it.
Yeah.
But move your body, at least for kids. I think adults probably writing it out is the same difference. But kids, they need to go find the trampoline or a ball or something.
Yeah.
Literally work through it.
It's important, especially if you're emotional, because I have a bit of a hot temper at times. So.
So your mom passed of cancer when?
February 28th last year, so it was just a little over a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
How are you?
I am up and down. I think, a year out.
A lot of
first.
You've just gone through a lot of firsts.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy because it was sudden, yet it wasn't.
Okay.
Like, she was sick for a long time, but more so, we always thought it was cirrhosis, which is actually how my father died. So she thought it was. She was very anti-doctor. I'm not, like, when I say I don't trust the medical profession so much, I still go to the doctor. I do my checkups. I do my mammograms. Sure. She was like, I'm not doing anything. I don't want to go deal with this. Yeah. And she always said if she ever got cancer, she wouldn't get treatment because she didn't want to spend her last, remaining time being sick from radiation and chemo. Yeah. So it was, but when she got sick fast.
Okay. So, and what kind of cancer was it? Where did it originate?
Pancreatic, which is never good.
No, not a good one.
So
if there's a good one, that is not it.
But to be honest, I mean, she stopped living. She had been the drinking for a long time. She was getting a little bit more stable with that. She actually was engaged to a man that she grew up with. Like, they found each other again. They went to elementary school together, found each other again. He had a heart attack and died in the middle of the night. One night she found him, and from that day on, she was done. Like, she gave up. She was just not really living for anything anymore. It was just kind of, we would try to do things together and you could just see the light wasn't there. She didn't want to really do anything
Still
anymore.
drinking? Was she still dependent at that time?
I think so. She said she wasn't, but I could just tell. I could always tell by the sound of her voice, which when you're with when you know someone that well, you can, the sound of the voice or the mannerisms or the way she's speaking, you can just tell.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say every single day, but it was definitely there, and it was a coping thing. And I think that was her thing all along, was she needed it to cope with life.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. That's heavy. That's heavy.
I don't know. It's been a year, and I think I'm still kind of processing it, even a year out. And I have moments where I think of her and I lose it, and I have moments when I think of her and I'm like, at least she's at peace and I feel okay. And then, it's everything changes all the time.
Yeah, it's a cycle, a grief cycle. So I think that's all really natural, right? As long as you're, having more, as long as you have peace about how you're feeling about it. I think that's really the thing.
Yeah.
About where you are in that cycle. I'm sorry, that's heavy.
Thank you.
So both mom and dad, and then do you have siblings?
I have a brother. He is 8 years younger than me, so that was always a little bit of a weird relationship. By the time he was old enough to really relate, I was gone.
Sure.
And he really was left at home for the worst years of my parents' addiction. So I think we still were close for a long time. But when my mom got really bad again later, he cut everybody out. And then we would still talk. He lives out in Texas now. But when her fiance died, I called him and I said, I know you're not speaking. I know that you're still, you haven't forgiven her, but she is a mess. She talked about him all the time. She felt like she ruined everything and she wanted him in her life. And when he still wouldn't talk to her, I told him he was selfish, and I stood up for her, and I haven't spoken to him since. I should say he hasn't spoken to me since.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think he doesn't? Do you think that there's part of it that he knows is true and doesn't want to face that? Or
definitely.
Yeah.
My husband jokes that he's probably going to end up on the news one day as a serial killer because he has no empathy. So, a lot of it is on him.
That's his way of coping, though, right?
I think so. I think he's also just kind of a dick, to be honest. Let's be real. Who does that?
Yeah.
But
people that are trying to survive, it's a white knuckling. I think they're trying to survive in their own way. None of us know how to navigate this, right?
No.
But sometimes people make decisions that we don't understand. Somehow it works for them. That's what I always say.
I kind of thought,
I'm sorry, that's hard. I have brothers, one of which I don't really have a relationship with, and so I totally get it.
I thought he might grow up a little bit, but when my mom passed, we had to get his authorization for her cremation, and he wouldn't even respond to me. I had to get my husband to reach out to him. So I don't know, maybe he blames me for getting out, before he did.
Sure.
That's possible. But
yeah. Some people don't learn. That's right, Desiree. That is right. Some people just don't have that capacity, and we're all in different spots, right? We're all in different parts of our own journey. And so I'm really sorry, because I know the heaviness of that feeling. I also believe that you don't have to carry it around. It's not yours to figure out for him. It's just not. It's not your shit to figure out.
It's weird because there are days when I'm like, oh, he should just figure out a way to fix it. And then there's days when I'm like, oh God, I have a brother. Like I forget, because it's been so long. But I did. I mean, I understood where he was coming from for a long time. But I think also, I guess maybe because when I was younger, things were good with my parents. And I really did have the benefit of that good early childhood. And I remembered the good things and I remembered more of the fun and when it was normal. And, my mom would have like killed you if you messed with her kids. Like she, for all her faults, there was no bigger supporter. There was no like louder mom on the sidelines at my games. And I just don't think he remembers all that. So
Right.
maybe that's why I reacted the way that I did when he still was like, no. So I don't know.
Also, you may not have said it, but really what you were asking him was telling him that you needed his help too. Like
Yeah,
like
that's
this
true.
is out of control. Like, and then he didn't show up for you either.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know the whole story, but I do know that when you reach out to like that, like you're asking for help too,
True.
and
I know. And
for
he
her
did,
and for yourself.
yeah, the fact that he didn't at least ask how I was doing when she passed, that's really shocked me. So
I had a very similar moment. Yeah,
I'm
I
so
don't.
sorry.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I know how that feels.
Do you want to talk about your brother? You don't have to only talk
No.
about me.
No.
It's
No,
so
I do
weird.
not. Thank
Okay.
you. No, mine is not just a few years long. This has been going on a long time. And it is what it is.
Okay.
But I 100% relate to that, to how that feels. Sucks. When you treat uh strangers better than your own family members, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. It's
Oh,
weird.
like, ugh. Ugh.
Yep.
Especially because I will do anything for anyone. I'm like the first one through the door if you need help. So I don't know. I guess we're very different.
I
Oh,
would want to give her a hug too. You're gonna have to tell Eric that you need a hug from
I
us.
will. I don't know if he's watching. I hope he's not.
Do you? Do
I
you hope
don't
he's
know.
not?
Yeah, I hope he's not because he's probably like, oh God, she's crying again. Oh Jesus. He gets a little bit uncomfortable. He's like I said, his love language is not. He didn't come like from a huggy household. They're very
When's
supportive.
his birthday?
He's March 1st. He just turned
Okay, yeah,
50.
he's not a huggy
He's
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His family wasn't, but they're very supportive and they're like his family's awesome. They're
Yeah.
very close
Yeah.
knit. So that was really nice coming from the upbringing that I had.
Yeah.
Now I have like this family his grandmother is in her 80s and she's more alive than anyone I know.
Awesome.
They all live around here.
Good.
You would think they were like this big Italian family, but they're not. They're
Right.
Polish or some, I don't know. So it's
That's
nice.
probably just as close knit, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and fun. Oh, he's there.
Oh no. He is watching. Hi, babe.
I think that's cute because I know there's a part of you that is happy that he's watching.
I think that's nice. I didn't think he would be. Thanks, baby.
I'm glad you have him and his family for sure.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Just don't show him your reels.
Yes, not in advance. Not in advance, because then I'll second guess myself. But I'll still post it. Let's face it. So
Yeah. Good for you. I'm happy that that's how you approach things. Yeah. Yes, a hug for sure from all of us.
I feel like I got a hug from all you guys. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening to my therapy session. We talked like almost nothing about vintage or anything.
That's not true. We talked about
a little bit.
Etsy and reels and this is supposed to change refocus the lens from our content back onto the human. That's the whole goal, to foster this organic conversation where you can be yourself, and so I think we did that.
Yeah, and
we all know a lot more about you. I love you more than ever now.
Thank you. I love you too.
I love the relationships that this community, true relationships, true friendships, true. I know that you had that with Candace, and she probably has that with 100 people because
She's like a
Candace
celebrity.
is Candace. Hi, Candace. But I do. It does. It truly does. And yes, I will
Yes, I've made
be watching your reels 12 times each.
I wish everybody lived closer. I love when I get together with the local girls, and yeah, Candace is recognized everywhere we go. No one knows who I am. I'm just like, oh my God, Candace.
That's how it is
Sign
being friends with
autographs.
Desiree too.
Really?
Being friends with Desiree in real life, that's how that is too. Yeah.
Mm.
When we go not picking like locally or whatever, but like big places, it's like people run into Desiree,
That's awesome.
know who she is.
I need to like get some kind of distinguishing feature so that I don't know. Maybe I need like a special hat or like a t-shirt.
So we're good with being in the background a little, aren't you? I am.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't ever want to be. She says, Candace says that too. She's like, nah, stop.
That's not true.
Candace
also has live scheduled for like 6 months because everybody wants on her. Everybody just wants to hang out with her for an hour and a half.
She's going down south and everyone's like, come stay with me. Come stay with me. It's
good
crazy.
for her. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
anyway, I say embrace your Cancer self, my friend, and embrace that that emotional side of yourself. It's probably your strength.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I was shocked you even wanted to have me on. So really
everybody says that to me. I'm not interesting enough. There's no way. Girl, you stand out for sure.
Thank you. And you're awesome at this. Please don't stop.
I thank you for that. I'm really trying to just accept that compliment. It feels so foreign to me. Truly, there was a time, and not that young, that I would have rather run off stage crying than have said 2 words publicly. Seriously. I don't know what I'm doing, but I learned to love it more. This is the 25th episode, and I love it more and more every time. And yes, it's my little passion project, but I think a lot of people are getting good things out of it. But it's my guests. They come to see you all, not me. And y'all are the ones that are sharing your stories and all that. So
I don't think people would want to do this if they didn't feel so comfortable, though. And that's what you do for us. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it too. I really do. I never know like really what the reach is or what people get out of it. I think the guests, you'll probably get messages from people. And I know Candace did. Everybody does, where the viewers will reach out and it's not that I need them either, but I don't really know what the reach is. So that's maybe a good thing.
Yeah,
it's maybe a good thing.
Not to focus on that, because if I do, I'll just disappear.
Yeah, I think maybe in some ways that I have no idea it is better. So
we talk about everyone that I know that watches it, and I've watched several episodes. We love it, so keep them coming.
Okay. Thank you. I will eventually have to take a break when we do this move, but for now I think we're scheduled through April, so We'll do that, and then I'll be back. Nice. It's really been fun.
Well,
thanks, girl.
If I decide to go to therapy, maybe I'll come back in like a few months and let you know how it's going.
I'm not like a huge advocate of talk therapy, for the record. I think that there's other ways that you can successfully get the same thing out of it, but sometimes it's a really, really good start. So, and I'm always one of those that says not do something based on fear. Don't let fear run you away from some experience that may be good for you. So if it's a fear-based decision to not do it, maybe you should face it.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you there. Fear should not hold you back, and I'm working on that.
Yeah.
Big time. This is part of it, being here today. Hi.
And it only took 20 questions. You said you already felt better.
I do feel better.
I mean, when we did the blast, like, wasn't even, I don't know, 5 minutes in, you felt better. You probably are anxious about it all morning. That's why I asked you, what'd you do to keep yourself busy this morning?
I like the way you start with those questions, because it stops you thinking. You just dive in.
And it really does tell us a lot about you. I never have questions prepared, but that helps a lot.
It's good.
You know, like for the rest of the conversation. So anyway,
Great.
Thank you, girl. I so appreciate you. Have a happy Sunday. Thank you for being vulnerable and brave and emotional. Thank you.
I swore and I cried. So sorry, everyone. I love you. Thanks for being here. Bye.
That's the way we like it. Bye-bye.